Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Acupuncture's My Life. Now, I'm excited that so many of you enjoyed yesterday's podcast, which is cool. It's great. And I got hundreds of questions regarding the gut being in trouble, but there was just one question from a young lady from India who'd asked, like, how can you tell if your gut microbiome is out of balance? And that's the yin and yang aspect of your microbiome, because when it's out of balance, you have to understand you have good bacteria and bad bacteria in your stomach, right? And it's needed, but you need both good and bad, just like you need yin and yang, mutually consuming, mutually dependent, and there has to be balance, though. Okay, and when one exceeds the other, more times than not, there's problems. Okay, and basically, this microbiome is basically microorganisms that exist in your gut, and it has a huge impact on your health, more than you may actually realize. Okay, and the key here is the yin aspects of your microbiome as well as the yang aspects of your microbiome have to be in balance. And if they are, and your middle jiao is healthy, it can add years to your life, believe it or not. But the key here is knowing if your gut is in a good state of health. Okay? Because if it's not, there may be signs. There are certain signs you could look out for that can indicate potential problems. Okay? And you may be partaking in certain habits from a dietary perspective as well as a mental and emotional perspective that's contributing to poor gut health and throwing your microbiome off. Because, see, the microbiome of your digestive system is super important, and it contains somewhere in the ballpark of, I would say, around anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000 different types of bacteria that tend to provide essential services of nutrition as well as protection. It's great for your immune system. And the makeup of your gut microbiome is determined by your genes. And the key here is the health of it is determined by diet, exercise, stress management, as well as sleep. And I want you to keep that in the back of your head. And because your health is super, super important. And more times than not, it starts in the middle jiao. Because what do I say over and over about the spleen and stomach? It's responsible for all qi and blood derived after birth. Okay? But understand something. Your bowel movements, like ways that you could tell is through your bowel movements. It could reveal a state of your health. Bloating, gas, indigestion, diarrhea, heartburn, constipation can be an indicator that the microbiome in your middle jiao or your gut is off. It's not balanced. And it's important that you're aware of that. And there are certain signs, there's certain indicators. And these are things you could speak to a physician about, which is why I say, see a physician on an annual basis for regular checkups. But definitely, your acupuncturist will pick it up and take discussions on what's going on in your middle jiao to a whole nother level that'll amaze you. This is why I'm always saying see an acupuncturist for regular wellness visits. But if you notice you're having gastrointestinal problems, like I stated, diarrhea, constipation, heartburn, excessive gas, indigestion, and bloating, that's a sign that your gut microbiome is not in balance. Another is mood, and I keep speaking of this. Mental and emotional disorders can play a part. If you've been in a bad mood for a long period of time, like you're feeling irritable, you notice you're experiencing mental health issues, and so forth and so on. Because understand something, most neurotransmitters are actually created in your middle jiao. So brain function is usually the result of the health of your middle jiao. When I say your middle jiao, and I'm speaking acupuncture language, I'm referencing your gut. So when yin and yang is out of balance relative to beneficial and harmful bacteria, it can manifest as problems with mental clarity and memory and anxiety and depression. So these things are important. This is why you need to see an acupuncturist on a regular basis. And especially for you young ladies, like, do you experience yeast infections? Okay. These infections can be as a result of systemic yeast or fungal overgrowth in the gut. And it's not just women, men too. But this is why many will experience like nasty infections when they take antibiotics, which kill a good bacteria, but that help keep the yeast in check, along with the bad. And guess what? There's that imbalance as a result. And a lot of people will follow up antibiotics with probiotics. My recommendation is just simply see an acupuncturist. Okay? Also, too much sugar in your diet tends to feed fungus. You know, and in some, like, let's say Western societies, global, Western Hemisphere, you know, infections are pretty common in the Western Hemisphere because of the overexposure to antibiotics, environmental toxins, a bad diet that's loaded with carbs and sugar, stress, lack of sleep, and so much more. You have to make acupuncture part of your life, guys. You know, because it's about your health, and that's where the wealth is. The wealth isn't in a bank or a safe or an app on your phone or a cryptocurrency account. The wealth isn't under the doghouse in the backyard or in a shoebox in the closet or under your mattress. As well as the wealth is not in your pocket, purse, or wallet. It's in you. But you know, another way, let's see, to tell if your gut microbiome is out of balance is, do you have major sugar cravings? Now, many individuals don't understand that the bacteria in their middle jiao tends to influence the types of foods in which they desire. And these changes in the middle jiao tends to send signals to the brain, both direct nervous signals and biochemical signals that'll result in cravings for certain foods. And this is why if you saw an acupuncturist, they would ask you a question such as, do you experience cravings for sweet, salty, spicy, bitter foods and so on? Okay? That tells an acupuncturist so much. And so many individuals sort of make a face during intake when that question is asked. And they want to know more as to why that question is being asked. But understand something. Sugar. When you're craving sugar, sugar tends to feed bad bacteria and yeast in your body. And you see a diet that's high in sugar and refined carbs tends to lead to the overgrowth of harmful bacteria and yeast, which will definitely alter the function of your middle jiao. It'll negatively impact the spleen as well as the stomach. And this is why, in some cases when individuals are going through certain health problems, an acupuncturist may just simply, undergo an Eastern nutrition consultation session. Another way to tell that your gut microbiome is out of balance is, have you gained weight? Have you? There's certain bacteria that can exist in your middle jowl that'll make you more predisposed to obesity. Okay, as well as type 2 diabetes. But I'll let you sit with an acupuncturist to discuss that further. Another is, do you notice you get sick a lot? You remember in the beginning when I said like a healthy middle jowl, microbiome in the middle jowl can add years to your life? That's true. But unhealthy microbiome in the middle jowl can take away years from your life. And you'll notice that because you'll notice you're getting sick more often. Because more than 70% of a person's immune system stems from the middle jowl. So if there's an imbalance in the middle jowl, it'll affect, more so compromise, a person's immune function. And I get this a lot at Acupuncture's My Life clinic here in New York City. And I love abdominal acupuncture. I love it. But I'm just, veering a little to the left. Another is, do you experience skin problems? Okay. Do you experience skin problems? Okay. Like, let's say acne, psoriasis, rosacea tends to be related to activity. And I'm sorry for the noise in the background. It's just here in New York City, sometimes it can get pretty crazy outside the studio. But if there is like too much of a certain type of bacterial species, you'll present with like some type of skin condition. I mean, I really want to get deeper into the skin problems because and there's so much I want to talk about pertaining to that, but I try and stray away from it because everyone's constitution is different, and I don't want people taking these podcasts as I'm diagnosing them specifically, and I've gotten this type of response over the Acupuncture's My Life app, the message center, and it's not the case. It's not. All right, I'm not speaking to anyone in particular, but another sign that the microbiome in your middle jowl is out of balance is, do you experience, let's say, chronic sinus issues? More times than not, it's your gut that's to blame. Because chronic sinus infections tend to be linked with a lack of bacterial diversity, as well as lack of a certain type of bacteria in the middle jowl, as well as in the sinus microbiome. But the microbiome in your middle jowl likely influences it as well. Okay? And I've worked on many individuals' stomachs, their gut, and cleared up a lot of sinus infections, chronic sinus infections. Another is, do you notice you have an autoimmune disease? Because your middle jowl's connection to your immune system is super important. Okay, and a lot of times when your body tends to attack itself, that has a lot to do with unhealthy microbiome in the middle jowl. And there are certain types of autoimmune disorders that are tied to unhealthy gut microbiome, such as, let's say, type 1 diabetes, multiple sclerosis, lupus. Okay. Because there's certain mechanisms that indicate, relative to multiple sclerosis, as certain species of bacteria produce biochemicals that, let's say, directly affect the T cells in the immune system, that triggers a demyelination. Why did I say myelinization? Woof, I need my green tea. But the demyelination, and that's that insulation that exists around your nerves, of the nerves. Another indicator is chronic joint pain. And a lot of joint pain tends to be affected by the type of bacteria that exists in your middle jowl. And you see, gut dysbiosis tends to be implicated in the development of like chronic inflammatory diseases that cause joint pain. So it's important that you're aware of that. You know, your microbiome, the state of your microbiome is also linked to rheumatoid arthritis. And there's so much. Another is, do you notice you're allergic to a lot of different things? That has a lot to do with the balance of microbiome in the middle jowl. But just overall, I'm glad, I hope I was able to answer this young lady's question from India. And if you notice that you guys are experiencing some of these symptoms, do me a favor and make acupuncture a part of your life, okay? It'll change your life. Because acupuncture is my life. What's yours?